I'm 21 years old. I have a baby on the way in
Congratulations.
July.
When's it due?
July 14th.
Awesome,
very
man.
excited.
Good for you.
Thank you. I have my own business in pet care. I'm a dog trainer, and I am $300,000 in debt.
From what?
So my question is, do I focus on expanding the business, hiring, and trying to be able to make the business self-running so I could be as present of a dad as possible, or focus on paying off debts?
Is the debt?
The only thing this guy needs to be expanding is his W-2. Now, when he chose to get more than $250,000 in debt and have a baby on top of it, I believe, short of independent wealth, and he clearly is not independently wealthy, he gave up the right to be able to spend more time with the child. I mean, it's a toss-up, and I know there are people out there going to go, yes, but it's his child, and you sacrifice everything. Yes, but these things should probably be discussed before you have the kid. Hey, honey, and he's 23. Hey, honey, should we get $300,000 in debt, and I can also spend more time with the beloved child? Or do you think perhaps that maybe self-employment in a woofy doggy care business is not a good idea, and we should perhaps scratch that idea and figure out how I can become a stay-at-home parent or whatever it is that he wants to do? In other words, there comes a financial point where if you did not plan ahead to be able to stay at home or whatever the arrangement is that you want to have when you have your kids, you may have given up that right. I'm not saying parenting's not important, all that. I get it. Okay? But how many of us, I'm not a parent, I admit, but still, how many parents have to go to work because the bills must be paid, and they're not anywhere near in the debt this guy is? You see, he's living in Delulu land because he's, like I said, $250,000 in debt. And he is seriously asking himself if he should work on expanding a business that is clearly failing, or should he plan on more time with the child at home? This probably should have been thought, perhaps before the child came.
Debt, business debt? Is it from you building this business? Is that where it came from?
Yes, that's where it came from, most of it.
Explain, is it?
Why does it take $300,000 to train a dog?
Yeah.
It takes $300,000 to train a dog because you have no experience in dog training. And it's the dream that you have. Oh, and we know about dreams, right? Right, family? We know about dreams. You got to know when to give it up. Doesn't mean you can't modify the dream. It doesn't even mean you can't have the dream. It just may mean that today. Something tells me he is somewhat impulsive. Only because, I'm not just saying that it's his youth, but it's certainly a credit. But more so, it's the $300,000 in debt. Imagine, you're out of high school, 21, within 4 or 5 years out of high school, you have this type of debt. In other words, he's at the age still, from what I can tell, that he is responding to things emotionally, things that he emotionally enjoys, wants, and all of that stuff. But he's not yet at the part where he's thinking logically. Anybody want a baby with a $300,000 business debt? Now the good thing is it's business debt because he can go bankrupt on it if he has to. So then you got the bankruptcy, and then you got, baby on top of it. Oh, I'm gone for 1 week, and this is what happens.
So we started mobile, so I started the business when I was 19, doing it mobile, kept costs low, did it out of my truck. And then as we expanded, we decided that we needed a facility. So we rented and then kind of renovated a 4,000 square foot facility. That was in April of last year.
Why do you need a 4,000 square foot facility? You're barely 20 years old. He was running it out of his truck. Okay, kudos to that. Go wash Fifi and Fluffy, okay? And let them, work out of the truck, okay? Go wash, groom, mobile truck business. He had actually no business, pun intended, he had no business buying a 4,000 square foot building. Not with 300,000 in debt. Like I said, he's running off of his dream. He's not running off of logic.
So we I took a home equity line of credit loan from my dad, which I know now from listening to you guys is a no-no.
I'm gone for 1 week off the computer deck. Car chats are done, folks. Sorry, but car chats are done. Oh, jeez. 1 week off the computer deck. And this, there were so many delicious titles. It was a tough one, but you know what I think of self-employment? Why I don't want to be with self-employed. I love you, self-employed people, for your creativity and all of that, but sometimes you don't know when to quit. And sometimes we have to know when to quit. Oh, jeez. Home equity line of credit.
Give me a quick synopsis. If I bring my dog to you and say, I'm dropping my dog off, train him, what does it cost me? What do you cost for a service? I'm just curious.
Our lowest package is $33.75, and our most expensive package is $8,000.
Okay.
And these are house pets. They're not service animals or anything.
Some are service dogs, some are...
Wait, I'm totally confused. It's dog training. Okay, I'm a little slow on this, folks. Okay, it's dog training. $300,000 of that for my dog training business. Okay. Wow. So that's why you needed $4,000. You know what I would have done? I would have trained them right at the owner's place. Yeah. Or if I had a place, convert your place into a licensed, dog training. This kid had no reason to be buying a 4,000 square foot business, and I'm willing to bet that whoever lent him the money was just licking their chops, or whoever. It doesn't sound like he sold a business. He started, because he's an entrepreneur. So, yeah, he looked and said, "Honey," he says, "there's 4,000 square feet. We're gonna buy it, and then we're gonna have a baby on top of it all. And I'm gonna rack us up more than $250,000 in debt. Wonder what the interest is." And don't forget, he took out a HELOC. Ooh, which made me just think, oh, he's put his property up for this, because it's a HELOC. He's backed it up with property. Oh, gee, so bankruptcy isn't necessarily easy. They'll just take the property. Bad, Fido. Bad.
Our protection dogs, we work with a large range.
You're doing protection dogs for $8,000.
Wow.
And he's only 23. Where'd he get all the knowledge and experience on this? I'm not saying it's not possible.
Slow. Okay. All right. Now, so you spent money renovating someone else's building that you rent?
Yeah, so we did like walking kennels. We had to put in.
But you don't own the building.
Walls. No, it's a rental.
Oh!
Okay, so where's the you spent $300,000 on someone else's building? I only recommend term life insurance because it's simple.
I'm going to do y'all a favor, and we are skipping over the Xander ads, okay? Yes. All right, here we go.
You spent $300,000 on someone else's building?
So the home equity line of credit, the total of it was $225,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then we used some of that to do employee salaries when we first moved in. We used a lot of that for renovations.
Whose home is he doing this on? So he's renting a building, and he's fixing it all up. He doesn't own it. And then I thought he said something about his dad. Did he bring... Okay. I know. See, like I said, I've been gone for a week, and I feel like I'm losing it. Did he take out a HELOC against a parent's property? Oh, sweet Jesus, don't tell me he did that. Okay, Jamie, get your listening ears on.
And then also into marketing. Then we have $30,000 for a van that we use.
So are you profitable?
No.
Yeah, so last year we did $300,000 in sales. $40,000 of that was profit for our first year.
Oh, dear God. Now, I listened to this with you guys for the first time. Okay. Yes. But technically, according to the IRS, he is profitable. Okay. You have to show a profit after so many years or whatever. But you gotta love the naivety. He just sounds so confident. Well, are you profitable? Oh, yes, we are. We what is it? Is it called revenue? Guys, I'm not really great at business terms, okay? So 300,000 was everything, I guess. I think that's called revenue. Somebody tell me if that's called revenue, okay? I think that's everything, but his profit is 40,000. He made less than a beginning teacher here in the state of Florida. And it only cost him $300,000 to do it. And probably a whole lot of stress and sleepless nights. And it's only just beginning. Because this HELOC he says that he took, again, I hope they go back to the HELOC thing because I'm not playing it over again. But I want to know how they got the HELOC. They don't own the property. So you take out his dad's HELOC? In other words, if he were to fold on the business, if I'm understanding, okay? Sometimes I'm a little slow, all right? If I'm understanding, whoever he took the HELOC with, or whoever lent him the HELOC or whatnot, their property's at risk because that would be a co-signing case or something like that. Oh my goodness, this is too much. This is too much.
Wow. What's all the overhead coming? Well,
So our total overhead per month is $17,000.
Okay.
Sweet. Oh. Ugh. Guys, I don't know much about pets, okay? I don't. But it just seems, okay, like Dave was saying earlier, if you're doing guard dogs, when I think of guard dogs, I'm thinking double digits. You know, you want to train a dog to be a guard dog. Okay, I'm not thinking no 8,000. I'm thinking maybe 8,000 or a few thousand, to train, puppy around the house or whatever, okay? But if he's talking guard dog, okay, and I'm not talking the innocent doggies that get stuck on a fence outside all day, which I just detest that, okay? I've owned a Chihuahua and a Min Pin, all right? Till they passed away and whatnot, okay? But, well, the Min Pin went with the ex-husband, but the Chihuahua we kept until that Chihuahua passed away. But this kid has no idea what he's doing. He's just literally throwing out, what is he? He's throwing out cards and just seeing where they land. He doesn't have a plan.
And so what's your question, hon?
So do I focus on expanding the business?
No.
No, you focus on a W-2, get a job, close up shop. That's what you're focusing on. You got a baby coming. This is the type of stuff you do. I think he said he's married. I think he said he was, okay? Wife, girlfriend, side chick, whatever, okay? The woman you're having the baby with. I think he said wife, all right? It's a W-2 job. This is the type of stuff you do and you get out of your system before you have a baby, whether you file bankrupt or not. This is not the stuff you do when you have a child.
Hiring, trying... No, okay.
No.
You need to make some money with all this money you've spent.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, did you hear that? Mm-hmm. You need to... No. It should have been, you are more than $250,000 in debt and you need to get out there and you need to earn some cold, hard cash. And then what does the guy do? Mm-hmm. You know why he went mm-hmm? You know why? Because he already knows it. He just doesn't want to do it. Yeah. See, when you get answers like mm-hmm, yeah, okay. And we've heard answers like that before, haven't we, family? We've heard people answer that. You know what they're really saying? That's their polite way of saying, I hear you, I disagree with you, and I ain't going to do it.
Like, you need to double your revenues with your existing facilities and your stupid $30,000 van that you did not need.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Okay.
You have never seen anything you wanted that you didn't go buy it. Stop it.
That's what I'm saying. He's throwing out all these cards. He is building this business on the lap of luxury and pleasures. He's not thinking like a business person. The business needs to fold. If he wants to take care of Fifi and Fido, I would say he needs to get a whole lot more experience under belt in running a business. See, this is why I choose not to be involved with people who are self-employed. A little side hustle, I don't care about. Someone says, they got a little side hustle that brings in an extra $5,000. I don't care about that as long as it's not draining our funding and you can hold a full-time job, so to speak. But if it's, hey, I'm giving everything up and I'm going to take us $250,000 in debt so I can do it, count me out.
You're going to run yourself out of business so fast it's unbelievable. You need to learn to organically grow the business. Ramsey Solutions has grown from a card table in my living room to a $300 million business, and we've never borrowed a dime. 100% of our growth has been funded by profits. A little bit, and 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 a little bit. And so now you've invested leasehold improvements in someone else's building. What's the length of the lease you have?
It's 5 years.
At the end.
Holy cow! You know, this is one of those calls where you think it can't get any worse. It can't. It can get worse. 5 years. And remember I was saying, well, he could just file bankruptcy. Yeah, he could, but I'm not sure it's going to be as easy as that. I don't know. I don't know if he could file Chapter 7. He might have to go in Chapter 13. I don't see how this is sustainable. And baby's not even here yet either. And this is the guy who wants to, spend more time at home with the child. I get it. But he may have sacrificed that opportunity to do this.
End of 5 years, all that money's gone if that guy wants you out.
Okay, and let's get real. Let's say, because we know the economy's kind of tanking here right now. Let's say in 5 years, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. So let's say he gets and I'm bad at math, so we're going to keep this real simple. Let's say he's able to make $50,000 a year over the next 5 years. Okay, so that's 100, 200. I count on my fingers. 100, 200. Okay, so that's about 250,000. All right, but it's costing him 300,000. He said to make in a year's I think it's revenue. Okay, his total amount is 300,000. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. It's only going to cost him a little over $1 million to make $250,000. I hope that math all added up. Okay, I think that made sense. I'm just going, he made $40,000 and it took him $300,000 to do it, and things only go up. Inflation, it only goes up. That's why it's called inflation. So in 5 years, if he's able to maintain this $300,000, cost, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, right? It's one little over $1 million, $1.5 million, right around there. To make how much? 200,000 or so? That's a bad return on your money.
You've got to amortize all of that cost in 5 years on $40K profit. You can't even come close.
Did you know that? Did you realize that? Or you just didn't care? I'm just curious.
He didn't care. He didn't care.
Realize which part?
The part that you're leasing, and that you don't own the building. So when your lease is up, there's no guarantee that you get to stay there with all the renovations you've made.
And all the renovations he's made. I sure hope that there isn't a thing in the contract that says he has to put it all back to what it was, because you have to be careful about that. Okay, I've lived in apartments that have said, yeah, you can go ahead and change it, but you are required to put it all back. All of a sudden, the renovation ideas just don't sound so good. And why would you renovate something that you don't get to keep? And assuming that this doggy place has to meet code and whatnot, there was quite a bit of work into it. This guy didn't think about this. But there could be a requirement that he has to put it structurally back to what it was, or whatever the agreement is.
So what I figured while going through the process of it, I believe that the total cost of renovations alone that we did was between 50 and 65,000. But the goal was to then extend our lease once that 5 years was up.
Yeah,
He's got no money, dude. Who is this? Sal in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Hold my orange juice. You got no money. All this guy is doing is talking about renovating and being able to stay at home with the child. That's it. He needs to be thinking in terms of money, cold, hard cash. He's so far ahead of himself that he's going to sink himself. I personally think he's already sunk himself.
Goal, that's a wish. That's a hope. It's not how you run a business. Okay. So what you, as a young entrepreneur, what I would have you to do is I want you to concentrate on getting revenues up without spending any more money.
He doesn't have the skill to do that, Dave. He does not have that skill. He's going to need somebody to help him with that skill. And from what I can tell, he owes everybody under the sun.
Would that include
Stop, quote, expanding. Work.
How many employees do you have?
Okay. It's just me. I work completely by myself.
I thought you said you spent some of this on salaries. Where the heck
Yeah,
did the
in the
200
beginning.
grand go? All I got's 30 in improvements or 40 in improvements and a $30,000 van. Where'd the rest of it go?
You paid yourself out of the loan?
No, I didn't pay myself out of the loan. We had employees. We had up to 3 at one point. But then in October, we got pretty slow, so I let everyone go. Went down.
This is a train wreck. Just an absolute train wreck.
To just me working, and then
Okay,
just
you
done
have
that
a
for a while.
$40,000 a year job that you own.
He could. McDonald's store managers can make more. See, to me, this is a classic case of, work smarter, not harder. This is about as difficult of a way, I think, as you can bring on to make 40,000. He is making less than what middle school teachers are making. A beginning school teacher in Florida makes more than this.
So your job is to make it an $80,000 a year job that you own, and then a $100,000 a year job that you own. You need to find out the most profitable areas of your business and grow those areas, and yes, you need to do it. As far as
he doesn't have the business knowledge. I make notes when I'm taking for editing purposes because Susan knows, a viewer knows how much I hate editing. Thumbs up, Susan. Yeah. He doesn't have the knowledge and the skill. And you know what? A part of me doesn't even think he has the desire. And like I said, it's because look how fast he's jumped into everything. This is like jumping in off the diving board into a pool with no water. So this is, I think it would take someone who is more mature. Maturity, I think, is part of it here, okay? It would take someone with a lot more maturity and the willingness to listen to really figure out what's going on here. And something just tells me that Sal is not in this stage yet. And it's not just because he's young, okay? It certainly contributes to it. But you could be older, and we've heard plenty of older people, right, on this show, and they're not quite ready to listen. And when, they hang up the phone, they ain't going to sell that car. They're not going to downsize that house. They're not going to either downsize the business, close the business, okay? Or even leave the person that's bringing them down financially and keeps doing it over and over again, and they just keep sticking around for it. So this Sal here is just not in the mental stage, mental capacity. In other words, life hasn't smacked him hard enough yet. Because if you think about it, he's managed to get this far all on debt.
As far as you being at home with the baby, fathers, since time has begun, have gotten up and gone to work, and babies have survived. And you're going to work, my son. You have $300,000 in debt. You've made a mess, and you need a shovel. And you is the shovel.
Mm-hmm. Or there is no shovel, there's a pooper scooper. And he can always pick up the pooper scooper and shovel that way.